Hello, everyone. I'm glad you can join us. Welcome to Artists Insight, where we spotlight some of the best visual artists and organizations in the Kansas City metro area. My name is Brian Voll, and I'm the local arts librarian for Johnson County Library. I'm joined by my colleague, Angelica Sandoval, who also serves as one of our makerspace facilitators. Our mission for Artists Insight is to introduce you to some really creative people and organizations about their work, their background, and what inspires them. So our guest tonight is Emily Spradling, the treasurer and co-founder of No Divide KC. No Divide KC uses the arts as a vehicle for stimulating social awareness, participation, and community building. No Divide KC partners with Kansas City-based artists and organizations to create artistic events that are focused on the stories of the underserved and misrepresented communities in Kansas City. They have worked with a lot of organizations like Interurban Art House, Free Hot Soup, The Whole Person, El Centro, Kansas City Center for Inclusion, Kansas City Anti-Violence Project, the Kansas City Ballet School, and of course, Johnson County Library. We were lucky to partner with No Divide a few years ago on a documentary project that you can view on the No Divide KC website. No Divide KC will be presenting a couple of high-profile events this summer that we want to learn more about. Welcome, Emily. It's great to have you. How are you?
Thanks, Brian. I'm glad to be here and I'm doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, all right. We've got a lot to talk about. And let's start out talking about the mission of No Divide, KC. For those who are unfamiliar with this organization, what is it all about? How did it get started? And who's part of the team?
Sure, yeah. We started in 2016, actually the very end of 2016. My partner, Stacy, and the other co-founder of No Divide, KC, wanted to put on a benefit concert, after the kind of politically difficult year that year. And we did that on December 18th. We had all local artists come for a day long. It was concerts, performances, really whoever wanted to come. It was a really great event. And after that, we kind of decided to turn it into an organization. And so really what we started off doing was mostly documentaries and some live events. And since then, we have started to do a full season of live events. And then so this year we're going to have 3 shows, and then we also do some smaller kind of community focused events. And last year we grew our board by a lot, and so interestingly, we actually grew during COVID, and we now have 11 mostly artists who are really involved with pushing the mission forward, coming up with programming and that sort of thing. So the main focus for anyone who's not familiar with the organization is artistic events that are tied to some type of social cause.
Great. You touched on some of the programming, the types of programming that you've done in the past. Can you maybe go in a little bit more depth about the programs that you've done? And also, how would you say your programming has grown over the last few years?
Yeah, definitely. So what we did in our first year were 2 documentaries. One centered around body positivity, and for that one, we actually put out a call to the community, and people reached out to us. We interviewed them and then aired that. I can't remember the name of the place. We aired it in Westport, and that was really exciting, and was kind of the first time that we didn't seek out participants. People came to us, and they were super excited about it. You can find that on our website as well. And then we did something about female identifying individuals and their stories. And that was around, it was in March of 2017. So those were kind of our early events. We then partnered with the Kansas City Ballet School and did an event for children with developmental delays in partnership with the Kansas City Ballet's adaptive dance program. And we also did art views with Johnson County Library, where we interviewed local artists and made a short documentary about that. But since last year, we have really started to focus more on our live programming, and so that includes the Queer Narratives Festival, which has been very well received by local artists and community members. And that is a live festival. Last year it was on Halloween. Even during the pandemic, we had it outdoors. But this year it is going to be a week long at the Black Box in the West Bottoms. And we have visual artists as well as performing artists. So I was thinking maybe I talked for too long, but I can explain a little about that. The visual artists are going to move in at the beginning of the week, set everything up, and it will be available to view the entire week. And we are going to have the Black Creatures kicking off that event. So on that Monday, they're going to perform to kind of start the week. And then during the week, we will have workshops by a few of the participating artists. That includes a writing workshop with Jen Harris, poet Jen Harris, and also a couple other meetups like this. And Hugo Jimelo Salido is going to be airing his Mouche documentary that Thursday. And then the weekend we will have, I believe, 10 performers on both Friday and Saturday.
Wow. So that is quite an event. And can you repeat when that is, Emily?
Yeah, for sure. It is going to be August 2nd. That is going to be the kind of kickoff through August 7th. So the 2nd through the 7th.
Got it. And we will have a slide with contact information, and but just to put this in for more information, the No Divide website is nodividekc.org. Did I get that right? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So we've got the second annual Queer Narratives Festival coming up in August, and this weekend there is another event. When Time. So what can you tell us about When Time?
Yeah, definitely. So my partner and I, and Stacy is my partner in No Divide, and then also my partner in life, and we are getting married this weekend, so that's exciting too. But
congratulations!
Thanks. She is sober, as am I, and we both entered recovery from addiction and alcoholism at a pretty early age. And so When Time focuses on being a young person in recovery. It's a new music and theater production. So Stacy Bush was the 2020 Charlotte Street Performing Artist Fellow, was one of two. And this is her kind of 2020 performance. It's going to be at Charlotte Street's new Black Box space, which is 3333 Wyoming Street, Kansas City, Missouri. But yeah, so the performance has all new music from her, as well as JJ Purse. He's going to do percussion, and Sasha Groshang will be on the cello. And then Christopher Lyon, Casey Jane, and Courtney Hiddle are three actors who are going to portray three characters in recovery. And it kind of centers around a 12-step meeting that they are all a part of.
And I think you touched upon this, but what was involved with the writing of this performance? It sounds like a big collaboration between multiple artists.
Definitely. So Stacy came up with the concept and composed all the music. And then she talked with her friend, Kalish Syringas, who is a writer, and she researched 12-step meetings and AA and NA and that type of thing, and wrote the script. And then choreographer Kyle Mullins, who's a local Kansas City choreographer, worked on some of the music, the movements for the performers.
Well, that's great. So that coincides with your wedding. That's a huge deal. I wonder if you could talk about, with you and Stacy being at the core of No Divide, what your two individual talents are, that what you bring to this mission, to this group. I wonder if you can talk about that.
Sure, yeah. So Stacy is definitely, the artist, and most of our board are creatives, which is fantastic. I'm much more analytical and kind of practical, and so much of what I bring is, as a numbers person, as a tech person, and then I also am a writer. So I do help. She and I both help with writing grants, but so I am more introverted, so kind of a behind the scenes type, while Stacy is more of a big ideas person. And luckily we have a new vice president, Tanith Kay, who is also. They are very extroverted and super helpful with the social aspects that I may be a little bit more uncomfortable with. So we have a great team, actually.
Yeah. Are you looking for particular talents to bring that you don't currently have to No Divide? Are you looking for people to bring certain things for future programs?
Absolutely. We're a community-based organization, and we are always seeking new voices and new talent. So right on the screen now is Jacori Dion, who is our most recent board member. We met him actually, when we partnered with Interurban, we did a few interview series, and we met Jacori and continued having a relationship with him. And he came to Queer Narratives and brought up that we needed a little help in the lighting department. We needed some, mood lighting, a little better kind of setup there. And so he has since joined the board and is kind of helping out. He's a photographer. So he's helping us out in the area of lighting. But we have, I think you've met Cody Call is our kind of video guy, and John Chittum is an audio engineer. And then we have JD Daniels, who is a composer. Kat Guillermo is a printmaker. And then Tanith Kay is a visual artist as well. So we do have kind of an array of people who bring amazing things to our organization. We're really grateful that we were able to grow in 2020, which was a really bizarre year, but most of the people we didn't even meet in person until our first live event last year was a storytelling event focused on homelessness. And that was the first time we met most of these people in person.
Wow. It's amazing to hear how much you have accomplished as an organization and how many people you've attracted to your group in the past year, when it seems like you really use the tools of virtual meetings to grow and to be more creative and to plan more things. That is always inspiring to hear. I'm wondering about what kinds of feedback you've received from the community about Notified KC and about the work that you do.
Yeah. So the Queer Narratives Festival, I think, has been very well received by the community, and the the artists who've been involved and who've applied for it have been great. I mean, it was a pretty competitive process this year, but we have 18 artists who are involved. And then the other thing is we have kind of a larger season. This year it includes 3 shows, 3 large shows, but we've also started in doing more community focused, smaller events. So storytelling events. We also have 2 monthly virtual events. So trying to highlight one of them is the Artist Spotlight series. We do that once a month virtually on YouTube Live, and that will usually feature 2 artists in conversation about their work. Pretty similar to this, I suppose, yeah. And then we also have Hot Dish, which is a monthly series that focuses on maybe a controversial or taboo topic, and we have some guests come in to talk about that. So those are events that we do monthly. They really focus on bringing in the community, and so far they've been well received, and more people want to participate, and so that's been exciting. We also would like to maybe do maybe classes, some type of art classes or writing groups or things like that, that could be good community building exercises.
That all sounds terrific and exciting, and I am looking forward to seeing how Notified KC grows in the coming years. It'll be really fun to watch. The last part of our conversation, Emily, I want to touch on, we always ask our guests to recommend their favorite books, music, and movies. And what you have on your screen, these are some titles that Emily is recommending. And so, Emily, what can you tell us about the books here?
Sure, yeah. And I wanted to say thank you, Brian. You've been a very early supporter of us, and we always appreciate you and JCL, so Johnson County Library.
You're
But
welcome.
about these books, I am probably the biggest reader in our organization, and I am a queer woman. And so these books are mostly from that lens. So Her Body and Other Parties is a collection of short stories by Carmen Maria Machado, who is a bisexual author. And if you've not read this book, it is, it's disturbing, it's sensual, it's really one of the best books I have read in my life, actually. So I very much recommend that, but just talk about stories that will stick with you afterward, and so moving. And then the second one, The Miseducation of Carmen Post, is actually a YA book, but I liked it reading it as an adult. It focuses on a queer teenager who gets sent to conversion therapy. And I was so impressed with the way that Emily M. Danforth wrote about growing up in that kind of religious environment. I actually grew up in a very religious environment, and so I related so much to that book. Patsy and Here Comes the Sun are both by Nicole Dennis Benn, who is a lesbian Jamaican immigrant to the U.S. And so they're both. Patsy is set in New York City with a woman who moved from Jamaica with some really big dreams and ended up hitting some snags there. And Here Comes the Sun is set in Jamaica. They're both beautiful novels. I read Patsy while I was in New York for 2 weeks, so I was getting to actually see the sites that she was talking about. So that was great. And then Freshwater, I think, is going to be a series on FX, so I won't give any spoilers, but the author is a non-binary person who is writing about their experience with words I can't necessarily pronounce, but kind of having multiple identities and spirits. I really don't want to get too much into it because it is kind of a culture that's not my own, but spirits within them that express in different ways. And it's from a Nigerian perspective, and it's a very interesting book that I recommend. And they also have another more recent novel that is incredible, The Death of Vivek Oji, maybe? Obi? Something like that, another incredible book.
Yeah, thank you for introducing us to some authors and titles that we may not be familiar with. What about your music recommendations here?
Well, I have less to say about the music recommendations. So both of these were recommended by the musicians on the board. And so I know Jeremy Dutcher is a Two-Spirit Indigenous composer. And then Mickey Blanco actually just had an album come out next week. So check that out. Some really great collaborations on there, but more pop, a little, could be some R&B and rap influences. So also an exciting listen.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Emily. It's been a pleasure speaking with you this evening. Thank you. And thank you to our moderator, Angelica Sandoval, for her behind the scenes work. If you would like to learn more about No Divide KC and their work, visit nodividekc.org. For more information on Johnson County Library programs and services, visit jocolibrary.org. Artist Insight will return on July 27th. See you all next time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emily.